Peace. I'm having a lot of computer problems, but I still want to come and share with you briefly. Let's see. Let me just get this. On the record. On the record. So I'm impressed to mention the importance of planning. Failure to plan is a plan to fail. Whoever is encouraging you to take steps forward with no plan isn't good. And there are times when we are called to make decisions, but there's still some type of plan A or B or C. There are times in life when you're offered more than one decision. And so before you move forward, you might weigh them and you don't know which one is best. And so you get stuck. That's you being in a lack of faith. But there are times when you're given more than one path, they're good, and you don't know what's going to happen in either one, but you know that in principle, you're supposed to move forward. That's moving forward in faith. Okay. What I see happening is people encouraging others to take steps, and they don't know what they're going to do next. So I just really want to encourage people to study because the answers are right there. And sometimes people are struggling with things that they don't have to struggle with. If they would seek knowledge, and they would have the answer, and they would even know not to step because you're being led in the wrong direction. And that's important now because people, some are operating in fear. So they feel like some movement is better than no movement, but that's not necessarily true. So when it comes to a plan, you want to do a model. Like if I A, then the consequences could possibly be A, B, and C. This is called decision making. In this era of knowledge, yes, we can go off of our impressions from our ancestors, but we also have the responsibility to research things. And one thing to really research is how to make good decisions. There are decision models, their whole body of knowledge on making good decisions is closely related to the body of knowledge on how we know what we know, epistemology. So I have been studying what's going on right now. And I noticed there are a lot of people who, under threat and duress, are losing their home and that sort of thing. I just saw the other day that Tyra Banks lost her home. And she probably has no idea how it happened, probably the amount of studying and the people around. She had to do a lot of studying to get her home back, if she can. But the information is right there. Around her, and what have you, no one could help her keep her home. Well, they know how to keep her home, but that's not the scope in which they're interacting with her. And some have probably even told her, you can't get your home back because according to the processes that they were taught, which aren't necessarily true, that is correct information. So what you see with Tyra Banks, with myself, with other people, with Wendy Williams, whose assets are being taken, a total violation of law and process. It's not like they took an action and we didn't know what to do. No, it's people who are conspiring in groups to remove people from their rights. All right. And I just want to say that for folks who are wanting to break the system down, who are taking people into these promises of freedom and funds and all this sort of thing, but they don't know how to step by step tell them how to stand, that's very dangerous and it's very irresponsible. And then you're like the people in the Bible where you're bumping your head over instead of learning from knowledge past and history. All right. So as one of the heirs to the land, now mind you, I stated with the knowledge of the repudiation of the doctrine of discovery in 2023. And what has happened is there have been fierce activities to keep you from doing the things that are normal to do, which is use your computer, use the accounts that are in your name. Because before that was a fine system. Now all of a sudden it's not okay to use the accounts that are in your name, right? But it is okay to access funds that you don't know how to get to. That makes no sense. People need to eat, people need shelter, and there is abundance. And there is also um, this known fact that catastrophe is the best opportunity for those to make money. All right. So whoever is telling you to be in poverty and just step in faith and you don't have a plan is not being led by wisdom. And that's not your ancestors talking to you. Okay. Because your ancestors will tell you how some of us have gotten to be in this downward way, how these so many children in California don't have schools, they need shelter, and what have you. Now, people like me know that there is a way for us to support each other. But if we're being blocked, we're not going to get there. And if we're being blocked by folks who can't make moves without us, that's very interesting to me. But I encourage people who look at the mainstream news and who might be a little bit confused about what's going on, and also people who know exactly what's going on as far as the shift in the wealth, to read Genesis 37, 12, and 36, to read Genesis 37, 12 through 36. Okay. And that'll give you an idea of what's going on. Because there was a famine. And at the end of it, Joseph's brothers, this is the allegorical story, right? Came to him to say, hey, we need some of your resources. That's exactly what's happening here. It's just Joseph's brothers, who look just like him, are still trying to get and take from Joseph, rather than recognizing that that's not the best way to go with things. Now, I say this relationship to Glenn Williams as well, because this could only be done. When I say this, I mean for her to be away from her property, away from her son, in violation of her human rights, in violation of estate law, and in violation of property law. Only way that this can happen is to oppress others who would be willing to help, like myself, right? Some of those people who are being oppressed don't even recognize that they're in systems and they don't feel as if they can make decisions that support like good karma. Like some people in the health profession who are involved in some of these atrocities when it comes to the gender change or things like that. But they don't know. They don't know that there is a way for them to say, I don't want to do things that are against my rights, and also still have housing, have food, and have transportation, because that's what happens. You lose a job, and they defame you, and then you can't work, and then you end up homeless on the street. Okay, so I'm just saying, read Genesis 37 through 36. Read Psalm 11. That way, it's 110 and 1. Psalm 110 and 1. And I say this knowing that the Bible is allegorical, knowing that people have their different views of what's happening, and knowing that the Bible is public law, and the Bible is a good source of instruction, but the Bible also gives us a view into what it is that's supposed to happen. Now, it is man and woman who make these prophecies come true. Also, the interpretation of Revelation 7, 3, and 8, for me, is that there will be freedom in standing in the private and not depending on government to save you, right? And to move from one religious government that takes advantage and into another religious government that is not able to articulate the plan for order and peace on the land of my ancestors is it's a little bit unnerving. But, I just encourage you to study, to stay in their logical mind along with their intuition, and to be light and to be love and to be joy. Because the children of the Most High, those who by bloodline and birthright are heirs, we stand on peace and we stand in love. All right. And I just want to share with you encouragement to read, encouragement to not prejudge anything. I spend my days studying and making efforts to take the right moves, but with frozen accounts, with of course you want to capture the good things that happen. And I say blessings. I blessings is a good word because it is through my blood that I have the information from the ancestors. All right. That's who I am. No blood, I'm not here. So certain concepts can be taken and then was perverted to be something bad. All right. So my life is one that I live helping others and to like to be loved. Right? If that has not always been my goal, that is my goal. Okay. So we have a voice, and in times like these, when it's difficult to get things done as they should be done, it's important not to judge each other. When you seeing people do things that don't make any sense, you don't want to come into any judgment about it. As someone who's experienced this targeting for years now, I really think it was targeted at first because of my birthday and my parents' birthdays is one of them, and because many of the areas are targeted, right? But I can even think about when I was in school, some of the research or things that were done trying to get psychological profiles of people. In high school, some of the attacks on my computer or missing missing papers that I had completed 100%, or going to the doctor's office and the doctor not having me clean some thermometers and grabs one in some solution. I was like, wait, where did that? I wasn't paying attention to what happened, but then once I got like really, really, really ill, when we went back to the doctor after like a couple weeks, and he said, "Oh, he took the thermometer from a container where they weren't clean." Okay, he's not from this country, but I mean, that's I guess in his country, he thought that that's okay. It's sitting in some solution, and so then it's clean. It's not a clean thermometer, but I recognize now that there's a hand of chaos that comes where situations are created where people are harmed, people are made sick. I saw how my mom was treated in the hospital, how the doctor's orders took hours to get to her, and how she had a stroke right in front of me. She was better off before she went. So any medical record that questions me about what I do for my mom, why I don't take her into formal health care that much, is because until I figure out how to properly make my claim and be recognized as a living pupil, I will stay as far away from the establishment as possible with their false diagnoses and fraudulent x-rays just to justify research for their programs. Now, I'm not the first one to mention this. In fact, if it wasn't for other people who's sharing what's happening, then I wouldn't know this. And as President Trump is trying to changes, I know that it is important for us to stand on our human rights. These things that we're experiencing are human rights issues, not civil rights that can be taken away. They're at someone's discretion. These are human rights, but we're not fully able to access those human rights in correct status. And then if we think that we're just going to walk and just take it back, I mean, how does that work? How does that work? I think it doesn't. This times they don't call it call for a war mindset. It calls for a peacemaking mindset. And I remember one thing I heard from more than one islander say, "Keep your enemies close." Now, for me, that's a little counterintuitive because I don't want to be fake. And if I consider you to have taken multiple adversarial actions against me, then I just want to remove myself from your presence. But that's not always a strategy. Some of it from others, right, is to keep your enemy close and treat them in a manner that really just neutralizes them. So here in North America, and our estates are being attacked, these illegal, unlawful foreclosures, right? If we don't stand peacefully and thoroughly and properly, and you're going to just play tug of war with people who have no regard for you, it just seems futile, in my opinion. It makes more sense to provide some reward for good behavior and allow people to leave or cleave, right? Cleave to what is right, cleave to coming out with theft, um, be rewarded for it, or register and leave. Just like on the Child Registry Act, where people who have committed certain crimes have to be on the list forever. Like that. I mean, that's fair, that's equitable, that's natural law. I remember after my mother had been made sick and hospitalized, I had the opportunity to bring her home or either to take her to rehab. And without getting into all the details, I made connection with this very kind Jewish lady who she was a professor in law. And she told me under no circumstances would I be in a position I could take care of my loved one because of all the research, all the papers that showed about the egregious guardianship system in the United States. I had no idea. And I learned even more when studying and hearing what people in response to Wendy Williams' situation. So when people talk bad about DC, I know they're not from DC. They're just the outside looking in. Because what happened in Wendy in the state of New York would never, ever, 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 ever happen in the municipality of Washington, the District of Columbia. Also, this trend of removing children from their parents through child protective service that would never, ever, ever, ever happen to the degree it's being done by the competent investigator, right, for the purpose of funds, because they don't get any more money one way or another. And it's actually incentives as far as being considered a thorough and on point professional when you keep a child in the home, all right, and you have to have numerous signatures to have a child be taken away from a parent. You have to also identify, is there anyone else who could just take the child out? And that's without going through kinship care and all the interviews and all the investigation that someone in the kinship care program would have to go through. I've had grandparents or aunts or uncles say before, why do you have to know all this about me to take care of my own relative? Well, my question is, where were you before? Before anyone came to knock on the door about reports about a child being maltreated, whether that be abused or neglected. There are times when people call and those calls are bogus, and it's easy to let out a bogus call. No one is removing children for bogus calls in District of Columbia. It's just, I can't say it because I'm not there for the situation, but I know the system is such that is frowned upon, that is not rewarded at all. There are parts of the country or parts of the United States where children are removed for finance. That's absolutely sad. But when people talk about that DC, I just want to say that's not good because you miss out on the learning. In fact, the District of Columbia um, is the home to like, the best professionals, the best schools, um, and the cost of living is such where you get paid a reasonable amount depending on position, right? But back to the healthcare, we have the baby boom population, and wouldn't that be nice if these corporate states just use our parents to finance the corruption? And we were talking about down with the U.S. and this ridiculous thing. Now, the reason I say it's ridiculous is because you're not talking about how to replace the services that have been rendered by the U.S. corporation, right? And it's the departments, a lot of the decisions are made, a lot of the initiatives, a lot of the cooperative agreements. That's where it's made, which is totally different from the U.S. Congress. So it, there's not like a particular place within the square mile radius of 10 that all these people are bad and all these people around the world are better than them. That's a little bit elementary. We don't want to use that as cleaning out DC or whatever. I think I said it before. It's dangerous to send people around the country to make up their own rules and not be regulated. A lot of the corruption at the banks takes place at the county and at the state level. So I'm going to be your work, put on the record to stand for what is right in peace and love, that none be heard, that all be fed, that all be covered. All right. So hopefully, hear this with on my computer. Well, whoever's meant to hear it will hear it. Right? Be loved. Listen positive and stand up. Peace. It's a Rick Wancho. Whoever, instead of waiting for somebody else to help us. For Wendy. I'm saying goodbye as I figure out a bunch of windows for antivirus. Peace.